now. So all the sessions that have been recorded so far have been added to the Google Classroom. So they'll all be up there for you. Now, for tonight, I'm going to mute everyone's microphone. But what I will do is I'm going to pick on one person to be my voice of reason. So I'm going to pick on Anne Case. Hello, Anne. Can you?
Okay, I can. Yeah, good.
Now you're going to be my voice of reason. That means if I start saying something too fast, or someone's put something really interesting in the chat room and I've ignored them, you're going to say, "Oi."
Okay.
Practice that for me.
Oi.
Nice. Good. I can hear that. That's fantastic. Great.
Okay.
So please don't forget. Now, if you do have questions, more than happily whack them in the chat box. And what I'll do is, if I see the question fits with what I'm doing, I will try and whack it in straight away. If not, I'll answer it at the end. If I'm unsure of the answer, because again, I don't know everything, I will look back, revise it, and I'll put it on the Google Classroom for us. So, you know, there were some really great questions. I did a session yesterday, and there were some fantastic questions, things that I hadn't considered, and that's what we're looking for. So let's start with a few bits and pieces. So what I'm going to do is, for this session, we're going to have two screens for this one. I'm going to try and make it a little bit easier. So hopefully you should be able to see, this is my teacher's screen. Now my teacher's screen will have the black font at the top. Now if we go to the group that I've set up for yourselves, the Thursday crew I'll call you, I've put a few bits and pieces on here. A few people asking for the classroom code, and that's it there. So if you do want the classroom code, that is the classroom code for the Thursday class. So if you do want to write that down, what I'll do is I'll also copy and paste this into the chat box for tonight. So by having this classroom code, you can join the session. What I have done with the other group is we've started doing a little bit of a thing where we share websites that we've found. So my intention is to whack them all together and put them on there. So on the classroom so far that I'm sharing with you all, we have, you can share this code with colleagues. The only thing is, I'd say if they've not done the other sessions, they may get a little bit lost. So I would prefer it if they did the sessions as they went along. We've got on here, I've got 4 little handbooks that I've made to help go through some of the software we looked at last week. So we looked at slides, we looked at setting up the classroom, Google Hangouts and Google Forms. So there are 4 little booklets for you. There's also the 2 videos from session 1 and from session 2. So if you do want to watch that again, more than welcome. I've got 18 of you on at the moment, so it's great to see. I've tried inviting everybody, so I'll just wait for those to come through. So tonight we're going to be having the teacher screen, which is in the black, and we'll also have the student screen, which is in the silver. So my students in silver, teachers in black. Now what I'd like to do is, I'd like to start with the first piece of software, which is using Padlet. Now, Padlet, again, is something that a lot of people have used in the past, and I think we've had it with using Jamboard. Okay, there's a few people asking about the code. I'll do that at the end if that's okay. So Padlet itself, very much like Jamboard, is a collaboration tool. It's like a big whiteboard. Think of it as a giant piece of flip chart paper for us to play around with. I use it a great deal with some of the things I'm working on, especially recently with some of the projects. So let's have a look at some of the examples of what we can use it for. So if I look at some of the ones that I have made in the past, you can tell there's quite a few there. There we go. So the first option here, this was a session I ran quite a while ago. Now with the Padlet, I set up a series of headings. The intention for this task was to get the students to look at mentoring, to look at coaching, to look at things that are the same, things that are different, and then their own opinion. Now, what I can do with the Padlet is I set up the simple headings, and I'll show you how to do that. The students then gave their answers. And this was in this class, there were about 20 students. They gave all their different ideas and they put them on here. The benefit I found wasn't just this task here, it was you're constantly thinking, what's next? Where can they use this? And in fact, they did this in session 1. And then by the time it got to session 6, they could recap and go back to that class. So it's a great tool for recapping, reviewing, and working together. To create a Padlet, it's very simple. Once you've logged into Padlet, we go to make a Padlet. We've got a few options for us here. So the option that I just used was called Shelf. Nice thing about Shelf, if I select Shelf as my option, is that it allows me to add little bits and pieces. The free version gives you, I think it's 3 Padlets that you can create. And it depends how often you're going to use them. For myself, because I use them for lots of different classes, I have the upgraded version, which I think is about £9 a month. But if you just want the free Padlet, you want to practice it, you can do that, and it's absolutely fine.
Now that they're flattened, we can also use our geometry options.
If it's okay, can I just ask if someone could mute the computer? We've got some rather interesting bits and pieces coming up.
Of the design.
So, if we look at the Padlet here, I can just type into the columns. So if I name my first column, let's say famous inventors, and then famous history. I'm just kind of making this up, but I can put these very simple headings along the Padlet for the students. Again, top right, I've got my little gear tool. I can put my title, so I'm going to call this just collaboration task, and I can give a very simple description for the students, so what they're going to do. Now, the thing that I particularly like about using Padlet, once I've done this and saved it, is the key thing is it's about the simplicity of it. So I've made this, then once I go to share, I can actually share it directly onto my Google Classroom. So all I then do is click share on Google Classroom, and hopefully this will give me a new window. So Anne, can you see a smaller black window now with share to Classroom?
Could you take it off again and put it back on so I can see if one...
So you should be able to see now a smaller window which says share to Classroom, final test group.
Yeah, I can now, yeah.
So because I've clicked share on Google Classroom, it's linked it straight to the options I've got. I can then pick which class I want this to go to. So I'm going to send this to, I've got one called final test group. I can choose the action. So I can set it as an assignment. I can set it as a question or an announcement. I'm going to create this as an assignment for my students. And then I'm going to click go. What this does then is it sets up the assignment section that we already had. So I can give the title, Padlet activity, give the instructions, set the due date, same as we had on the other activities. And I can kind of play around with that and set that for the student. Now, one of the things I can do well, once I've got onto this assignment element, is I can send this Padlet to multiple different classes. So if I want it to go to actually my final test group and my Thursday night group, I can set it to go to 2 classes. Useful if I've got a higher group, an intermediate, and a foundation group. So once I've done that, I'm going to click assign. And I've now assigned that to my students. That'll take a few seconds and that'll go straight to them. So that's quite a nice little feature about being able to link it straight to that. So let's now look at my student view. So if I go to my student screen now, which is the silver one at the top, They're going to go to their class where it is, and they'll see that I've posted a new activity, Padlet activity. The student simply clicks on it, and they can then click on the link that's provided. And it does this automatically for you. Again, because Padlet's linked with Classroom, it allows that. So the student here in this activity may want to put in a famous inventor. So I don't know, maybe they put in Thomas Edison. He was more of a tea leaf, wasn't he, than anything. Maybe they want to put a famous history character in. So Charles Darwin.
Julian, could you mention the unmute again? Somebody's messaged about it. If people could mute their...
Yeah, if people could mute their microphones, that'd be grand. Thank you. Now, the students don't have to have a Padlet account to participate. Anyone can join it. So you, the tutor, set it up, you share the link, and they have access to it. So I've actually now shared this one with yourselves on the Thursday classroom, so you can now write and play on this. Now, the nice thing about this, again, and what I did when I did the mentoring and the coaching one, is that I can go in and I can add new headings to it. So I put these two headings in here, and then I can actually go back into my Padlet account. So if I go back into my Padlet account, here's my teacher's screen. I'll go back to Padlet. I can now add a new column to this. So what was great about them? Now, one thing that I would say on there is that you're not going to, that isn't going to automatically update on the classroom. What I would then do is I'd probably put a little message saying, I've now added a new element to the Padlet activity. Please go back in and add your next section. So the great thing with Padlet is it's always saved and they can access it. Now, a few people ask about the maximum number of Padlets. The tutor who creates it, I think on the free account, has a maximum of 3. And then the students can access actually as many as they want because you don't need an account to get into it. The paid account, like I said, is about £9. So it is quite useful to have. There's quite a few options. I'll just show you some of the other options we can do with the Padlet and some of the other bits and pieces we've had. So if I go to make a Padlet again, I've got wall, which is like lots of sticky notes. I've got Canvas. Now, I like Canvas myself because it's quite good as an individual tool for students to use. So if we look at how this is set up, I'll leave those headings there. I'm quite happy with that. And I'll start posting. So bottom right-hand corner, we've got a little plus symbol. Now what I can do here is I can add quite a few different bits and pieces. So it doesn't always have to be text. I can upload a file from my computer. I can put in a URL link. So say, for example, I want to put in a link to bbc.co.uk. There we go. I can put a web link in. I can search for something on Google and add this in. So say if I want to put in a picture of Google. So let's have a Dallas support challenge one. There we go, lovely. And I can add that straight from Google. And this is the good thing, the connection between the two. I can also add, take pictures, so I can use a screenshot. So I can take it from my video camera that I see in front of me. And then I've also got these extra bits here. So I can, where's the one I like? I can do a screen grab. I can do drawings. I can add places. There's quite a few options. Now with this one I've set up here, it allows for, let's just put a few in here. I can actually connect them to different posts. So those that are thinking of maybe doing some thought sharing ideas, the students can actually create little connections to different ideas. Let's connect it to that one there. So they can work in groups or individually to use a Padlet. So you can set this up for them and maybe allow them to do some thought sharing in small groups of 5 or 6 students in that room. So it is a nice, simple tool for us to use. Any questions at all on Padlet? That's anything that pops up in your head, any sort of queries or quarries about it? Nope, all quite happy. Good. I do like Padlet. It's one I use quite a lot, and it's one of those things that what makes it nice is it's the simplicity of it. And this is what makes any good tool online useful, is about simplicity of it. Now, the next one I want to look at is something that a lot of people haven't really seen that much, and that is Wakelet. Now, Wakelet, I'll put the web address in the box for people who want to look at it. Wakelet is a little bit more of a fancier, it's kind of like a big notice board of ideas. So I've got ones for different classes that I have. So this is my PGCE students that I work with, and we have a Wakelet board. And what this means is that students can post notices, PDFs, journal articles, they can link to their Twitter accounts, they can link pictures. I've got a few blogs and things I've written that we post on here. And what it is, it's a shared collaboration board that actually develops as it goes through. So if I look at my Wakelet I have here, I've shared some things from different Twitter people, also Jeff Petty, Society for Education and Training, Rita Pearson. If you've not watched Rita Pearson's Every Kid Needs a Champion video on YouTube, I highly recommend it. She is beautiful, wonderful, absolutely lovely lady. Very nice thing to have there. We'll put some fun things on there, but it's a nice shared collaboration board, and I'll have one of these for each of my groups. Now, to create a Wakelet is actually really, really simple. Once you've logged in, you literally just go create a new collection. And I'm going to create a collection. So maybe I've got this for my my history students, and go let's get interested in. I will warn you now, I dropped history in favour of geography in year 10, so I do apologise. My knowledge of history stops at the Tudors and that's it, nothing else. So I can create this. Top right, I can do this to public, or I can have it to unlisted. I would always share it to unlisted. So that means that only those that have got the link, which I'm going to share to my Google Classroom, can access this page. So it's only specific students that can get access to it. We're going to add an image. So let's upload an image. Let's put a picture of, I've got some random pictures here. I'm going to put a picture of the BBC weather lady. There we go. That's only because I don't have an infatuation. I was playing around with Zoom backgrounds and I thought that was funny. Okay, so I've got my picture. I've got my title. Now let's go to the plus. Now, when I hit the plus, I can put loads of different things on here. So I can add text. I can put a link to a YouTube video. So if I go to YouTube, I may type in Ken Robinson, schools kill creativity. Sorry, guys. There we go. And I can now add that little YouTube clip there to the student screen. I can then add, I'm going to change the layout actually. I like it to have it as a mood board. It makes it a little bit more interesting looking. I can add things straight from Twitter. I can add bookmarks I've got on my computer. I can upload a PDF. So if I go to my own computer, let's say I've got, there we go. I'll put a PDF on there, and it's just about the simplicity of it. I can then add things from Flipgrid, which unfortunately it won't work with Flipgrid because I'm using the video camera right now, but I'm going to be doing some one-off sessions on that. It's got direct links to my Google Drive. I can paste websites. But the key thing with this is that it becomes this organic developing tool, and it allows for other students to actually start adding their own thing on there. Wakelet is completely free. So yeah, I think Hannah's put on there, great point, Hannah. It's similar to Pinterest. Now one Wakelet is for that class. So you can create multiple Wakelets. So I've got quite a few on my other accounts, which I have for different classes and maybe different modules. You may have a different board on there. But it's great to get students to, once you've shared the link with them, so if I go to done, I'm happy with that. Yes, you can delete things if students post that are inappropriate. That's not a problem there to delete those ones. So if you do wish to delete them, all you would do is you would go to the edit section. And once I go to edit, I can then just hit the delete button there and get rid of it. So that's not too much of an issue. So this board here, I can then hit share. Now again, the great thing with this, by sharing it, I can share it via a QR code, Bookface, Twitter, Reddit. I can also share it directly with my Google Classroom. So same again, I hit Google Classroom. You can have unlimited amount of students on your Wakelet board. And in fact, the limit to how many you can create, I've no idea. I've not even thought about that, but I've got about 25 at the moment and no issues at all with how many that are there. So by hitting the button where I hit the classroom button, which is just there, it's brought up this screen again, exactly the same as Padlet. I can choose the class that I'm going to send it to. I'm going to set it as make an announcement this time, and then I'm going to hit go. Between members of staff. So Michael's made a great point there. Michael said, why don't you use it between members of staff? Yeah, and this is what I'm doing with one of the activities I'm going to do after tonight is ask you to share websites that you like, and I'm actually going to use Wakelet for that. So you'll have this constant tool to go to and get ideas. You don't need an account, just a web link, and that will work perfectly fine. So here's my announcement. Again, I've got the option where I can share it between multiple groups. And I'm going to just type in here. I'm going to type in here, share your ideas, team. And then I'm going to hit post. And that's now posted. So let's see what the student will see. So we're going to go to my student screen, which is the silver one at the top. They're going to go to their classroom and they're going to see share your ideas, team. And they're going to see this weather lady and they're going to go, wow. And all they do is they click that link. And now they've got this screen that's going to come up very quickly. Once I've spoken a bit more and filled the time while it loads, there they go. And they've got their Padlet board up there. And they can add bits and pieces on here. So it does allow that. Now I've not set the edit up on there, but they can then see this and they can play with it and they can add bits and pieces. It's a very simple tool for you to use with your class and kind of engage with really. So it is quite nice for them. Just a way of sharing. Any questions at all on Wakelet as a tool? I've got my chat box open. Can you see who's added the post? No, you can't. That's one thing. You can't see who's added the post. Unfortunately, this is the thing I found with a lot of these tools so far, especially the online ones, is that unless they log in with like a Facebook account or a Gmail account, you can't see who's actually posted. So maybe say to them, put their name on there when they put the title. Any other questions at all? Can students edit and delete posts? They can if they have a Wakelet account, and I allow them to do that, which I didn't set up for them. But when you set it up to allow them to edit rather than just view, they can add their own bits and pieces on there. What you may want to do is get them to share it using the classroom, so you can see the name of the person, and then you can add it yourself manually. So that might be quite a nice way of making sure that what they put on is decent and also not multiples of the same thing. So that could be one idea going forward. But what you're looking for, the same as Padlet, is you want this organic tool which they can refer back to. So you can say to them, can you go and look at the Wakelet? This will help guide you. So Zachary's asked what I mean. So what I would do potentially is I may actually go to my, so let's go to my teacher's screen. Pardon me. And if I go to my Google Classroom, let's go to my classroom group. I may say to them, set them a task and say, give me a web link or a Twitter statement or something like that, which I can add to the Wakelet. So the students may find a website. So say they find, I don't know, they find this. And they go, this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to put this on the Wakelet. They can then go to the classroom. They can add it in there for you. And then as a teacher, I can look at this and I can copy and paste it on myself. Wakelet versus Padlet. I think Wakelet is more of, I always see Wakelet as like a notice board of, hey, look what I found. Whereas Padlet I see as more as like an educational tool for like a teaching resource. When I've used Wakelet in the past, it's been for when you've done your random web searches and you found something and you go, oh, that's really cool. I might share that with my friends or share that with the whole class. So as a teacher, you can decide what links you want to copy to Wakelet, exactly that. That gives you a little bit of ownership on it. Now, the next tool I want to look at is a little bit different. Some of you may have seen it before, but I want to look at using something called Mentimeter. Now, if you've not used Mentimeter before, it is great fun. This is one of my favorite ones on here, probably apart from the last one, which is why I've saved it till last. But Mentimeter, for those that haven't seen it before, is an interactive kind of polling tool and bits and pieces. It's such good fun. Now, I teach with, in my classes, I have between 70 to 80 students, and sometimes it's difficult for me to get all of their views and ideas. But Mentimeter is a great way of getting that feedback from students on different things. So, for example, those that know Formula One racing, I did a little poll with them about an assignment. So on a scale of Roman Grosjean, who likes to crash all the time, to Kimi Raikkonen, who's an absolute genius, I was wanting to know, how confident are you? Now, what I could do was I could go to put this code up here. The students go to menti.com, they do it on their phone, their iPad, they don't need a login, and they put in a specialist code. And what they can do on a scale of 0 to 10, they can put their feelings, understand the aims of the assignment, the aims of the presentation, how their mentoring is going in their PGC placement. And they can put their feedback. Now, this is great for me because I've now got, so this was 11 took part in this one. It was only, I think this was a small MA group. And they could give me their feedback based on how that session was going. So I know, yep, that's good, that's good. Okay, I need to revisit this area here. So this is a polling tool to really help support our learners. And we can do it in several ways. So what I'll do is I'll just show you how to create a new presentation. So I've gone to mentimeter.com. I'm going to go to new presentation. I'm going to call this one test group. And I'll ping this one out actually to you guys. I'll let you have a play around with it actually. So you've got a few options straight away. So I have multiple choice. I have word clouds. I have open-ended, which is kind of like a Padlet. I'm not a massive fan of how that looks. I think it's quite small and tedious, and it's very difficult to read, so not great. I have scales, so Likert scales. I've got a ranking system. I can put where they type an answer. I've got quizzes, huge amounts. But let's go for multiple choice. So I could put on the question here, what areas of the course would you like to revisit? Helps if I spell correctly. Next week. And I can put some options in here. So I can say Google rubrics. I could put in here setting an assignment, third-party applications, Google Forms for quizzes, and I could say other. So I've just put in there some basic questions that I'd like the students to answer. I can have the answers as a donut, a pie, or dots, however I feel like it. So it's quite a nice way to do it. Now, there is a premium version of Mentimeter. So it's a great question someone asked. But with the premium one, it just gives you more slides. And I'll show you what I mean by more slides. So I've got that question there. I can show the results as a percentage, and that's fine. Now, here on the left-hand side, I can add another slide. So what I could do here is I could say, okay, I'm going to put open-ended. Actually, yeah, I'm going to put open-ended. So I'm going to put in here, if you answered other, what would you like to cover? And I'm going to have it as a speech bubbles. There we go. Now, the great thing again, I've got a profanity filter. So if you do decide to put some coarse language on there, it won't let you, I'm afraid. I know someone's going to probably try, aren't you? And I'm going to let you submit multiple times with that one. Again, I can add another slide. And I'm going to put on this one a word cloud. Now, I like word clouds because I like visual stuff. It works well. And there we go. What is the best ice cream? I must have asked that one last week. And you can have 3. So let's go to just to configure. So what I can do here is I can have it as presenter pace, or I can have it as audience pace. Now, because I got 3 slides, I'm going to go audience pace. Now that means I can set it up and you guys can do it whenever you feel like it. It's absolutely fine. I don't want you to answer several times, just have one. And I'm now going to go share. Now, when I go to share with this, there's a few things you can do. So either the students can, when it's presenter pace, so if I just show you presenter pace, so say you're in your big classroom, I'm going to go to present. So Anne, can you see the big thing now saying what's the best ice cream flavour?
Yeah.
Fantastic, good. So, you know, if you want to do it right now, you can do. Go to menti.com on your phone or your computer and type in that code at the top, 974437. So if you do have a second now, very quickly. Brilliant. Oh, so 2 people. So you can see how this is quite a fun, interactive thing in our classroom where the students can give answers, it plays around. So I can see bottom right, I can see that 7 people have answered. It's currently a fight for Google rubrics. I've never seen such excitement in the Google rubrics before. So there I've got 21 people. You can see it bouncing around. It's just something different to our classroom. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the voting. I'm going to go to a next slide. So sorry guys, you can still stay, but now you should see on your phone I used to say, well, what else would you like to cover? Because maybe there's something else. So now you should have a text box, and you can now start popping in answers to that question. Nothing, not applicable, doesn't care. That I like, that's honest, that's good. But it's just something different. Rubrics, not applicable, doesn't care. How to get into the Google Classroom. Flipgrid. Flipgrid is popular for a lot of people. The incredible lightness of being. Third-party apps for younger children. Yeah, I've got some great links I'm going to share on the Classroom for that. It's fantastic. So let's have a look. I've got all these different ideas on here. Teams. I use Teams. Polling apps. Oh, don't worry. I've got loads of polling apps. Let's go to our next one now. I'm going to start a little countdown, actually. So now you've got a little countdown for the next one. So you've got 56 seconds. Here's your final one, which is what's the best ice cream flavor? So again, very quickly, I'll let you just plaster that one in again. So if people say, what did you do tonight? You can say, I did something really important. Wow. Now, the thing I love about, again, if you use a good cheese and tomato, revolting. This is horrific stuff. Again, I'm going to put a 30-second countdown on this one now. No, great for you, Bailey's. But it's got people's attention. It's got students sharing ideas quite nicely for this. And I've got 34 of you who have all engaged with this one with some interesting spelling. So let's close the voting on this one now and exit it. Now, the great thing with this is I can now, if I go back to my home, I can actually go back and see my reports. So I can see the results from that. So I can share these votes with my class and go, this is, guys, this is how you voted. And I can see all the different bits and pieces about this. So I can keep referring back to it at a later date and see this information that you provided for me. So there we've got, I will always have that information to hand, no matter how far or how long ago you gave me those results. So just in the little chat box, any questions at all on this? So that's, I've not got the premium version. I've just got the free version. So with the free version, you're allowed a maximum of 4 slides for this classroom, for this Mentimeter. And that's fine for me. If we look at my setup here, you know, I've got quite a few going back some time that I've done. There we go. So that will kind of let me create quite a few. And again, I've just kept them kind of simple ones really going. So Mentimeter's a nice tool for us to play with. Now the results are automatically saved. Great question, Patricia. So once I've hit new presentation, I give it a name. So let's just do another test because a few other questions were there. And it's automatically saved it for me. Now, if you look here at the top, when I start working on it, it will automatically save it. So let's go to my word cloud. Now, someone said, can I give a picture? Yes, I can. So I can upload a picture from my computer. I can put a GIF in. Okay, so there we go. We'll put Mr. LeBlanc in there. So I can put a picture in there and that will help describe this behavior. There we go. And I can now have that for my students and they'll have that which they can add to. So you can do that with Mentimeter. It is quite nice to include there. Now, if I want to share this on my classroom, again, I go to share And I can either copy this direct code. So I copy the code, I go to my classroom, and I may set it as, let's do it as an activity or a quiz. I'm going to set it as an assignment. So complete the Mentimeter. I'm going to go add. I'm going to put the web link in. So this is the link I've just copied off that page, and then assign that. And once that's assigned, the student will see this on their page, and they'll then be able to go and add to it and play around with that tool. So it is kind of useful in that sort of sense for them. So a few more questions popping up here. The Mentimeter code lasts, so if I go to the test, so if I go to configure, have this as audience pace, it actually lasts as long as it is open for. There's nothing on there that says it shuts down after a period of time. So I can have people access it as much as they want, but I can stop it. Once I've got the results I'm happy with, if I go to my home, so I go to ones that are here, I can either delete it or I can move it to a folder and it's kind of dealt with, and I can stop it from there. You've got that access available for you. Any other questions at all on Mentimeter as a polling tool? Just waiting for it to pop up. Oh, got another question. Let's have a look at this one. Is this a better live class tool? It's quite good. I like it as a live class because it's quite fun to see it as it goes. But I think because you can do it synchronously and asynchronously, so Helen asked there, can they do it asynchronously? Yes, they absolutely can. When you go to your test and you set it up, you have the option under the configure button to have it as audience paced or presenter paced. So presenter paced is in the classroom. But it's quite a useful tool just to kind of get students engaged, and because they can see other people participating, it actually makes them want to get involved. Now again, it's completely anonymous, which can be a little bit of an issue, but because you've got the profanity filter in there, it does get rid of any sort of potential mishaps or risks that are there. Similar to Kahoot, kind of not. To write next to the photo, do you have to hide it? No, it will kind of instantly disappear when you type into it. And in fact, there's a little thing that says press S and it hides the image for you if you want to. Okay, let's have a look at another tool I want to look at tonight. Now this is this next one is probably one of my favorites at the moment, and some of you may have seen it a few times before, and that is Neopod. Now Neopod, if you've not used it before, is the great thing about Neopod is that you don't have to rewrite everything. And this is one of the things when where I teach at the moment. When we moved to online, a lot of the lecturers were going, oh, how am I going to get my PowerPoints to be more, am I going to have to rewrite everything? No. What Neopod does is it adds interactive elements to existing presentations that you have. So I'm going to create a new lesson. So I've gone to neopod.com and I'm going to go to lesson in Neopod. Now what I've got straight away here is I can just upload a file. So let's go to, cancel that, probably easier if I just drag and drop. So I'm going to go to my desktop. I already have, can't see it, but I have a PowerPoint I've written. It's on my computer. And I've now dragged and dropped a PowerPoint slideshow into my Neopod screen. So all I did was drag and drop an existing file that I have. I can also just click that button there and it will do it for me. So it's going to take a little bit of time as it just uploads it. It's working, it's getting there slowly. But what it's going to do is it's going to take something I've already created and it's going to put it onto this screen here. What I'll do is, just in the meantime, I'll give it a name. So I'll call this one Mentoring Session 4, because that's what it is. Now, with Neopod, it adds polling features, collaboration, 3D modeling, and it's all in one package. And the great thing at the moment with it, bless you, Joe Webb, is that it's completely free, the gold version, which is the premium version, until I think it's the end of July at the moment. Normally it's about £13–14. It's quite expensive for that, but they're doing it completely free at the moment. So this is still working. It's still taking my slides and putting them on there. It will get there eventually. I'm going to try again and upload it. So let's take one. There we go. Let's try this one. So all I'm doing is I've selected my slides, I've added it on, and that should now be in there. Now, if we go to one I've created in the past, actually, so let's go to that one. So here's one I did the other day, actually. Okay. Does take a bit of time. There we go. So this is one here. And as you can see, all the ones with the blue background, they're slides I already had existing on my PowerPoint for when I deliver my sessions. And what I can do is I've got this section here called Add Slide, and I can add a slide. And I've got a few options here. If I go to Add Content, I can add a new PowerPoint slide. I've got simulations, which is from the Philadelphia Engineering and Technology. I think it's something like that. I've actually got the web link for that. And I've also got this Neopod 3D, and I really love this Neopod 3D. Some of you will be sat there going, I need this in my life. So say, for example, I'm going to look at the full body. There's quite a few bits and pieces in there. So let's go to this full body one. I'll show you what it looks like. So what happens now is the students will see this. Oh, there we go. There's loads of different 3D models, and with their mouse they can flick and they can go through and they can play around and they can zoom in on the body. So it's a nice little tool for them, just to give something a little bit different to this activity, really. So you may say to them, look at the 3D body, you know, what sort of things can you see? So it's not... Oh.
Julian, would the school normally provide this, or would individuals have to subscribe? Was a question from Helen.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's the basic Neopod is completely free. So you can, I've got the basic Neopod version, but what that means is that I can only do tutor-led sessions at the moment, which means I have to be there clicking through the next slide. Currently, though, they have it, the student-paced, completely free until the end of July. So this is great for you to make interactive sessions in your classes at the moment. It is quite good. So we've got other bits and pieces, other 3D modeling. You know, it's one of those things, again, where play around with it, have a look at it. Let's have a look at, there we go, we'll add Pluto. Pluto will be in there.
Can we get this via Hub, Julian? Somebody's asking.
Neopod, no, Neopod's is, these are all third-party applications. So this is accessed via neopod.com. End of tonight, I'm going to put all the web links onto the classroom page for you, and I'll put it actually in the chat box as well. But this is just neopod.com. Again, let's go to Add Slide, and I'm going to go to the activities I have here. So Time to Climb is quizzing, open-ended question, So if I click open-ended question, I can actually then put a question here. What's the time now? I don't know. And I'll hit save. Now what this does is it goes out to the whole group. So as they go through the slides in the session, or you go through the class, they can give their feedback. Now, again, because of the nature of this, they actually type their own name in. Will the activities that normally cost still be available after the end of the free period? No, it's still available. It just means you won't be able to do it student paced. You can only do it teacher paced unless you pay for it. But all the extra elements, all these elements here are always available. I've got the free version because I'm a cheapskate and it's still there. We've got drawing boards, so they can, so maybe you set them a task and say, okay, draw a single cell organism, and they have to draw it. Again, if I go to draw it, the thing I like about this is I can actually upload a background image. So say I'm going to search for, I don't know, put in fire hazard. I actually found one the other day and it was a safety picture. There we go. So I'm just going to put a basic one on here. And they can actually draw on top of this. So you may have some science diagrams, you may have a map of the world, and you can say to them, okay, I'd like you to draw onto it where that is. And again, the great thing with this, the students have their own answer that comes out. Now, if I go back to ones that I've run in the past, I'll show you how the answers look. The ones that can be shared to Google Classrooms, can this be done even if using Google Classrooms through Hub? Yes, all of these will still go through Hub. I just can't add you to my classroom using the Hub account because I'm not doing it through Hub. But all of these can still go through Hub, so that's not a problem. Now, once I've created a session, so let's look at ones that I've done in the past. So I'll just save these changes. Lovely. I can go to my reports. So I ran one of these the other day. I ran a session the other day. Not that one. There we go. Let's go to reports. There we go. So what you can see here is I ran this session. I had 27 students. I can see the name of the student who took part. I can see their participation in this, and this is always useful. I always like this. I can see how many of them actually completed all the way through the slides. So if they get bored halfway through and they foxtrot, I know exactly where they are. And the great thing again with it is that all the features that I've created, so I put some open-ended questions on here, I can see their name and their answer. They can actually also add audio. So this student's given me an audio clip instead of a typing one. So if they much prefer to talk, they can actually collaborate through sharing their answer, kind of using a microphone. I don't think I did a drawing task. I did a few collaboration tools. So I can see here where they've done a collaboration board. And they've done this away from me. This was set as a student-paced activity. I sent this out to the group, and I have this responses from them for that session. And I will always have that for me. I can see it every time I've run that class. Now, to set it for my classroom, let's say I want to run this one again. I've got the two options. I can go live lesson, or I can go student-paced. If I go student paced, I've got a little button down here that says Google Classroom. I hit Google Classroom, and the same as with the Padlet, the same as with the Wakelet, I just choose the class I want it to go to. So if I make sure you can see that screen there, as soon as I hit Google Classroom, this screen appeared. I can pick the group. I can set it as an announcement, and there I can share this. Complete the Neopod, and I can post that to them. So now on their page, they've got this link straight away to my Neopod, and they can complete it at their own pace. They can take part in all the collaboration tools. And as a tutor, I've got these full responses there for them. I've got the free version, and I think, you know, I've got a few sessions running here, but I've never had any issues with it. If I go to a live lesson, so this is if I've got, again, if I'm in the classroom, all they have to do is they go onto the tablets or the PCs, and they just go to neopod.com and they put this code in here. As soon as they put that code in, they actually take part in the session. And the great thing with this is they can't skip to the next slide. So I have to I'm in control of the slide and the activities when they appear. So that's quite nice for me. Any questions at all on the use of Neopod? No? Okay. They're kind of the key ones I'm really enjoying at the moment. They're really useful for, you know, one of the things I'm always trying to push for, and that's a big part of the DCF framework, is this idea of ownership of the learning. How are we getting students to take ownership of it? And all of these tools here generate the students going away and doing their own work, developing critical thinking, develop technological thinking, to take ownership of the classroom. And the great thing about it is that it kind of relieves the pressure on you to constantly be going, focusing on students who need additional support. You can identify it easier because you've got these full reports afterwards. The students have to give an answer. So every student contributes to that class. And if they're not contributing, you'll know exactly where they are with this. I'll make sure all of the web links are available on the Google Classroom for you. Again, if you are having any issues, please drop me an email. So what I'll do is I'll put my email address in the box right now. So if you are having any problems with accessing the email, the Google Classroom, please do say, and I'll try and make sure you are linked on there as soon as possible. I'm going to be here now for the next 10-15 minutes sat here. If you do have any questions, please pop them in. I'll be more than happy to ask them. I've got Beth here as well. But thank you so much, guys. And I will see you all next week for lots more stuff. So thank you very much. Cheers there.
Hi, Julian. Can I just pop in there for everyone before they go that this evening there's going to be 2 links coming out. One is going to be inviting them to next week's training session. And can everybody please book? It's really important for us for our numbers because of the way that we're funded, that everybody books via the Eventbrite route and then joins us in the classroom, if that's okay. Thank you.
Certainly. Brilliant. While you're doing that, I'll continue what I get trouble for, which is changing my background on Zoom.
Julian, please can I ask you a question about using Google Meet?
Go for it.
So like when you've got your Google Classroom set up now, it says that you can obviously use Google Meet via your thing. Do you know how many people you can have on that at one time?
On Google Meet?
Yeah, does it work similar to how Zoom does? Because we've had a staff meeting today virtually, and our heads used Microsoft Teams, but you can only see 4 people, and it's very distorted.
Oh, Teams is dreadful. Sorry,
it was really awful. I was just like, what is going on?
We use Teams where I work, and I absolutely can't stand it. Sorry, I have to go like this when I'm going around the corner. I'm not a massive fan of it. But with Google Meet, I think you can have like up to 100. Because it's a professional one. It's different to Hangouts. Hangouts, I think you can have 10. But with Google Meet, I think it's unlimited because it's a bit more of an advanced version.
Right, okay.
But Joe, I will double check that. But it's
just that we had this staff meeting earlier. There was only 7 of us in it, but it was just an absolute nightmare. So it made more sense to sort of use something, but the head's not keen on using Zoom.
Yeah.
So it's trying to find out if Google will work for us.
Yeah.
And also, like, obviously moving on, hopefully, to then doing something virtually with our classes or whatever in the future.
Teams is a nightmare as well because it doesn't let you change your background to anything interesting. But Yeah, Google Meet. I don't think there's anything. I've not heard anything about the numbers. I'm sure someone last week was talking. They had like 23 in there, so it shouldn't be a problem.
All right, okay. It seems to work very similar to how Zoom does, and you can share your screen and things. It's just a bit more basic on the bottom with the tools that you've got. So
yeah,
we've had a little bit of a trial, and it seems quite easy to use. So it was just wondering if there's anything like.
That's one of the main things I love about the difference with the Google software and the Microsoft software. Don't get me wrong, it's great. It's, you know, it has got its pros and cons, but sometimes they've put far too much stuff in there. And this is why when I used to work with, my background prior to work at the university is I used to work a lot with PRU, pupil referrals units, and the kids there, they loved the Google software because it was click and do and it worked.
Yeah, actually does what it says on the tin.
Keep it simple, stupid. And that's the thing they loved about it. And like some of the tools that I've been using tonight, like the Neopod and stuff, again, it's keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And I think Microsoft, unfortunately, the same with Teams, is that it did that. It just got a little bit too complicated. They're starting to jazz around too much with it. So, yeah. But Meet, so Jordan there, so thank you, Jordan says Meet is 100 participants.
Oh, great, thank you.
So I don't have 100 friends, so I'm all right. I'm absolutely fine. You maybe no chance with that one. I'm not sure about how you split the screen. So I've got, at the moment in this classroom, I think at one point I had about 60.